If you have some money to invest, or maybe you're buying your first home, what markets would you say are active right now? They're moving. It's a good place to buy. What are your thoughts?
Me, the way I look at it, if I was to park my money right now, is get into an area that it's families want to be there. They're not buying there to like flip it or, like rent it out to a bunch of students.
I'd say the vast majority of agents I talk to, it's very rough out there.
It is.
Do you remember your first sale?
I do. It wasn't a good experience.
Mine was the most amount of work maybe to date for $1,500. Welcome to another episode of Equity Talks. My name is Andrew Patricio, brought to you by AJP Mortgage. Remember the name. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by, honestly, a really good friend of mine, Tal. Tal is an expert when it comes to the world of real estate investing, of being a real estate agent. He's been doing this for over 10 years. And really just a knowledgeable guy, especially when it comes to assignment sales, as well as investing in the United States. Tal and I share a lot of the same goals and the same beliefs when it comes to where you should market and where you should put your money. Should be an amazing episode today. Enjoy. Today we're joined by a dear friend of mine, Tal. Tal is a realtor, I would say a real estate expert, and a dear friend.
Thanks for having me.
I was waiting for this. He's busy. He's in Florida. He's a busy guy, but I'm happy you're here today.
I'm happy to be here as well.
So I want to get in. I like to always start with, when we're doing the podcast, I always like to start with a little bit of the origin story.
Yeah.
So why don't you kind of walk us through, for the listeners and for myself, how you got into real estate, how you are where you are now, just your journey.
Yeah, so I've been in sales my whole life. So since I was 12 years old, I've been selling everything you can imagine. From my locker in my high school and my middle school to working retail. And when I was 18, I signed up to get my real estate license. Before that, my father was a custom home builder. So my whole life, I've been in construction sites. So I can tell you how a house is built from almost A to Z, working so many hours. Almost every day after school, I'd come help my dad and I'd supervise and I'd see who's coming in and out. So I would say that real estate's kind of in my blood.
Knowing your dad, I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree that it's a generational thing. So you were a hustler starting out. Yeah. It's in your blood, and then at 18 you got your realtor license.
18, I started studying for it when I was in first year university. By the time I got my license, I was 19. I'm 29 now, so it's 10 years. And my passion has always been cranes. I've always had a passion for cranes. I don't have any tattoos.
I didn't even know that. Cranes?
Cranes. If I was to get a tattoo right now, I think I'd get a crane.
Like, we're talking about a construction crane?
My whole life, I've always been staring at cranes. It's one of those things where I'm like...
That's an oddly specific thing.
It's a very obvious specific thing. And that's kind of how my career also transitioned, is based on the fact that I want to be involved with stuff that has to do with cranes.
With cranes.
I was doing like a lot of resale in real estate when I first started, helping people buy homes, sell homes, rentals, whatever. My book of business in the beginning was relying on like the old-fashioned way, friends and family, but bombarding my Instagram and doing all that.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah. And then I started to realize I don't want to do business with friends and family. And so I slowly transitioned into a segment when I was, I think, 21. I quit my full-time job. I had a really good sales job. I was at Yorkdale hustling every day, and I was doing very good there. And then I started doing pre-con full-time. I actually got an ad on Facebook saying, do you want to make $250K a year being a pre-con agent? And my brokerage is actually 5 minutes drive from where we are right now in Mississauga. So when I came here today, I was getting flashbacks of those days.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So one Facebook ad changed it all.
I came in there, they interviewed me, their jaws were like on the table. Like they wanted me bad because they knew I was a hungry sales guy.
No, you could sell a half-eaten donut. I've seen it. You could sell a half-eaten donut. I've seen it in action.
When I'm hungry, I go crazy. So in my first 6 months, I was doing crazy numbers. Like I was doing more numbers than 10 agents combined on their team. And I was just calling all day, then on calls. Not only was I calling, I was like a cop. In my car, I had like a laptop in the middle. And I'm looking around the city trying to figure out what's the price per square foot here, what's the clientele here. Like I was like with the Wikipedia of pre-construction. I kind of still am. Like you can name me any intersection today. I can tell you what the price per square foot is. I can tell you who the dominant builders are. I can tell you a lot of different things. So my education on the construction, the pre-construction high-rise condo is very, very, I would say, strong. Especially like...
No, I've seen that. So that took you at that pre-con job into the expert you are now. Like when I have a question on an assignment, you're the guy I normally call. Yeah. So that's where that area of expertise came in. And I've seen your success. I haven't known you as like that whole journey, but for the portion I've got to see, you've been always very impressive and great with my clients whenever we give you deals.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And it's a pleasure to help out any of your clients. And also in the last, I would say, few years, I was doing pre-con from 2016 full-time until 2020. And when 2020 hit, pre-con pricing started to get a little bit screwed up. So if you had a building across from you that's already built, that's selling at $1,000 a square foot resale, a land across the street would be selling for $1,350 a square foot pre-con. So I was looking and I was saying, wait, I don't want to sell this because it doesn't make sense. For you to actually break even when that thing closes, the market.
No, it's wild.
25%.
It's wild. Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So I started to transition into a lot of the end user products, church lofts, boutique condos. And so I was marketing those types of projects. And I actually declined business. I had investors. I said, oh, I want to buy in this pre-con. I said, don't buy. I said, just don't buy right now. This is the worst time to buy. And I'm very thankful because I know a lot of realtors that sold pre-con to their clients, which right now the appraisals are.
I was going to say, they're dealing with the fallout of
right.
all those sales right now.
And they have to give back their commissions because if the deals don't
they got nothing. Of course.
They give back the commission. There's a clawback in all these co-op agreements, and the agent's screwed, the client is even more screwed. And people were selling pre-con, telling people like, "Oh, it's going to go up for sure. You can't go wrong. It's Toronto.
The sky's never going to fall." Yeah, I've heard that one a couple times.
Learning the hard way, right? If you look at the assignment market right now, like everyone's just dropping their pants. Like everyone's losing a shit ton of money, and it's a big problem.
No, we're going to get into that. That was one because I know that's. I know you're a man of many talents, but I was going to say like that's an area where I think you got a level of knowledge pretty much unmatched. I don't want to hype it up too much, but you're very knowledgeable in that. Yeah. So we'll get into that. If we're going to look at, and that's a good segue into real estate now. If we're going to look at markets like Toronto, if you have some money to invest, or maybe you're buying your first home, what markets would you say are active right now? They're moving. It's a good place to buy. What are your thoughts?
I've always said this since I started my career. There's specific pockets of Toronto that always hold their value better than other pockets.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the main ones is like Leslieville, Midtown, like Yonge and Lawrence, Yonge and Eglinton. The prime pockets where you have good clientele. We're talking good school zones. We're talking areas where there's not a lot of supply available. Like if you want to buy a house right now in Midtown or in a good area where like there's just good quality families, it's very difficult. Even in bad markets, sometimes you don't find that much inventory. And when there's low inventory, the prices typically tend to build a little bit more. So those areas I really like. So if I was to invest right now, I would go for a prime location. Yes, it's going to be more expensive, but you know that you're putting your money in a good place where it's going to hold itself much better than, for example, Hamilton
or even I was going to say even Brampton. We've gotten some house. I got a call the other day. The guy said like, "What is it worth?" He said $750, and I'm thinking automatically townhouse, condo, detached house.
Yeah, it's a lot of speculators in those areas. So people that are buying. If you're in an area that's mainly end users, that people actually want to live there, not just, oh, let me buy a property, rent it out, and put 20 students into it, like Scarborough, Brampton, whatever. Like those areas, it's night and day. Mm-hmm. You can't even compare. So there's a big difference between buying prime and then buying these little submarkets where you have mainly driven by immigrants that said, oh, let's just buy a house. Let's just like for me, the way I look at it, if I was to park my money right now is get into an area that it's families want to be there. They're not buying there to like flip it or, like rent it out to a bunch of students. So
yeah, I know. You heard about the one they had like 20 tenants in it. It was on the news. There was 20 tenants upstairs, downstairs.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Just crazy what's going on right now. Are you seeing like a lot of sales?
It depends.
Because I'm talking to some agents. I know you're always, like you said, you're a hustler, born in the blood. You're always going to be closing deals. But I'd say the vast majority of agents I talk to, or not necessarily in my network, but just kind of the word on the street is it's very rough out there.
It is. It is rough. Again, some areas are better, some areas are worse. Condo market is
trash. We know this.
Everyone knows this right now that the condo market is screwed. And so if you're a seller in the condo market right now, it's a little bit of a tough time. There are ways to overcome it by pricing right, by having a good strategy. The housing market itself, for sure, is not as strong as it was even 4 months ago.
But are you still seeing sales?
I'm seeing sales. There's always going to be sales for the good properties. You have the cookie cutter properties and you have the good properties.
Right.
The cookie cutter ones that all look like shit, that have no actual, like you walk in like, oh, this is basic. They're not as likely to move quick. Mm-hmm. You have some properties where they look really nice. The floor plan might be much better. There's a lot of different stuff about it that's really nice. Those ones sell, and sometimes they sell a little bit multiple offers. So it really all depends on the product. Real estate's all based on the product itself.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
You could be in the worst area that has 100 homes for sale around you, but if you have the nicest one, you might have multiple offers. So
yeah, and we're seeing that. And especially in a tough market where when it was hot, anything on there, people were taking it, biting it, chewing it, and closing on a deal. Now that it's cooling down, or the market has cooled down, the buyers are those ones that you're saying that are unique or the nicest one in the area. Those are the ones that get picked up. And then the ones that aren't anything special are the ones we're seeing on market for 60, 90, 120 days.
exactly.
Yeah, no, I see that.
They're just stuck. I'm finding a lot of sellers are not realistic now. Like I'm working with buyers right now. We're going for showings, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, like what's the lowest we can get this listing for? Like, my clients would put an offer on it, and the listing gain is just completely unrealistic.
Well, a lot of times will tell. Like, I mean, from what I see at least, a lot of people took out a lot of money when the properties were valued higher.
Yeah.
They have higher mortgages. And a lot of times I believe the client is saying, listen, I have X on this, X on this. I need a certain amount to cover the mortgages to sell.
Exactly.
And we're seeing a lot of that. Like I've heard people say, I can't sell for less than 900 because I got 820 in mortgages.
Yeah.
Right? So
you got realtor fees, you got this.
everything. Yeah.
It all adds up. Sure.
So on that, I like to ask this. I'm still stuck on a little bit on your journey because I remember mine, and it was monumental. The first one, I was like, yeah. Do you remember your first sale?
I do. It wasn't a good experience.
Mine was the most amount of work maybe to date for $1,500.
Wow. Okay. So mine was the most amount of work today for about $8,000.
Okay. All right. A little bit better than mine.
Yeah.
But
It's something which is better than nothing. But I remember my first client ever. I was a little cub. I was like 19 years old, and he was looking to buy close to York University. It's like it was an area that was very low in inventory. So I had to knock on doors. Are you guys selling? Are you guys selling? Finally, I knocked on the door, and I saw him clearing the house. I said, "What are you guys doing?" Like, "Oh, we're coming to the market soon." Anyways, long story short, he tried to hustle me for like half my commission, and then his cousin, which was my friend that referred me, also wanted money on top of that. And I said, "Screw this whole doing business with friends. Like, I'm out of it. I actually don't give any kickbacks to any clients. I'm very anti. If anyone wants kickbacks, you can go work with somebody else. Because I know my value, and I know what I have to offer to my clients. And what I offer is worth a lot of money, in my opinion. Whether it's negotiation, whether it's saying, okay, don't buy this house because there's X, X, and X reasons as to why I wouldn't buy the house. Or maybe the backyard is not good, or maybe like all the reasons that a rookie agent will miss is something that I will typically catch, and I would say immediately.
no, you know your value. And I mean, that's on this podcast. I mean, like I've said it every time, like work with an investment professional, work with a broker, work with a realtor. The amount of people who think
they could do it themselves, and
they're so far. I remember there was a house off of the house I just bought. The guy put a wood sign out front, hand painted for sale, with his number at the bottom. And this is in the hottest market I've ever seen. This is he never sold it. He never sold the house. And now it's like, so what, for a commission or for whatever it is, and really it's a menial amount of money, to be honest with you, in the grand scheme of it.
Yeah.
Get a professional. And I totally agree with that. So yeah, you know your value. And sorry, you were getting us down a little bit by your friend, and then they got you down half the commission.
Yeah, they got me half the commission, plus he wanted more, and then I told him to go screw off. I said,
But you closed it.
I closed it, yeah. It was a big deal.
The big 8,000.
It's my first deal, but I spent so much time on that deal that I look back now, it's the most amount of time I've spent on that.
And you probably missed 3 or 4 other ones that might have been easy layups.
Working in sales, it was like a little part-time job with me being into real estate, but it kind of allowed me to learn a little bit, understand how offers work. So sometimes you gotta eat a little bit of shit in order to understand.
Well, that's the thing. Like the amount you learn, and this is what I tell the guys that work for me. It's like, obviously we're all in this. We're running a business. Everybody wants to generate income.
Yeah.
But kind of take those little victories one at a time, because there's so much you can learn on just doing like your first deal, the things you would do again, the things you wouldn't do again. So those are all things definitely I agree with it. It's worth it, right? Like you look back, you forget about the 8,000. You're not even thinking about it.
Well, in our industry, when it's commission oriented, we have to be very patient.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah. I have clients where we were talking for 2 years, and I was sending them emails once a week that I only close now. Those deals, some of them are $2, $3 million, $4 million, right? So that 2 years of work, if you look at it over an 8-year run, it's worth it to be persistent with those clients. So, yeah, it's hard to teach somebody that because people want money now. But the reality is in this world is that money doesn't come easy. And it takes time to see a paycheck. And if you want to get paid, you got to do work and you got to hustle, especially in our business where we don't get paid.
In our business, 100%. And I think obviously like people see the realtors. I think more realtors and mortgage agents and brokers because they're the ones that are like myself that are doing extremely well. Yeah. I think you see it less. Realtor, the car's parked in front, like they're on the street all the time. There's a lot more marketing that goes in. There's a lot more show, I find. But people look at it and they go, oh, let me become a realtor. That's an easy job.
Exactly.
It couldn't be further from the truth, right? Like,
well, people rely on the old ways of doing business, which is social media, door knocking, all this crappy stuff. And I was just telling you earlier as well that I'm actually anti-social media. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll never know I'm a realtor. And if you look at my commissions that I've made over the last 10 years, you would think I'm one of those guys that's always on social media, but actually my book of business has been through online leads, through leveraging marketing, and my face has never been anywhere. Even on my first sales signs, I don't have my face anywhere.
Really?
People have no idea.
That I didn't know.
Like nothing.
You don't have you with the... No? You're not pointing?
No. I find this to be so cringe. Like everyone does the same thing.
I think, again, I hate to bring it up, but I don't know if you saw the South Park episode on the realtors.
I was just thinking
I thought it was, when they're... More, and he's making them all the way back with the smile. It's there's certain cliche to it, and I don't think there's one right way either.
Well, I like these slow markets because it feeds out, it kind of weeds out all the
it filters the weak
part-time agents. I think real estate is easy. It's not easy.
I wish I wrote down the statistic here. I can't remember what it was. It was last year, the year before, where there was substantially more real estate agents than there were real estate transactions in Ontario.
Probably.
I think it was 80,000 to 60,000.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And Trev is like 60,000. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a crazy number. I know. And only 10% of realtors, I think, is a number. It might be less or more, but I think only 10% make over 100K a year.
No, I couldn't agree with that more. Sometimes I get, because obviously we're dealing with the listing agent or even the purchasing agent, if it's not somebody I recommend, and they're calling me. I have some communication in the mortgage process with the realtor. Always happens, especially on a purchase. Yeah. And I've talked to them, and you can tell when their month check is relying on the deal. They're like, is it going to close? like we're good. The financing's good. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, dude, everything's fine, man. Don't worry, right? So you can kind of tell. What do you think? Because it's really fucked up right now. I have to say, what do you think is going to happen? What's your barometer on this?
With the real estate market?
Yeah, I know it's a crystal ball question, but what do you where's it going?
I started to lose a little bit of hope in this country, personally.
Agreed.
I think our politicians have no common sense, and it's very unfortunate because Canada used to be such an amazing place to live. It's such an amazing place where you can see, wow, Canada has a great future. But as somebody that travels a lot between Canada and the U.S., like yourself, where you and I spent a lot of time in Florida, you can see the real differences. Canada does have pros, but also has a lot of cons. Right now, I'm thinking the cons outweigh it. I've never seen it this bad. I think our infrastructure is built for this type of immigration that we have right now. Mm-hmm. I just think it's a little bit too crazy. Our hospitals, you go into the hospital right now, God forbid, and you have to get...
it's 14 hours.
Yeah, you're waiting...
14 hours. There's people dying in the waiting room.
Yeah, you're waiting so much time. And it's like, okay, well, how do I... Everyone's coming in here is getting free healthcare. So it's just everything's piling up. The subways, the Eglinton LRT, for fuck's sakes.
It has been, if you can believe this, I'm going to throw something out. It's going to show you my age. I'm still a young guy. I was in high school. When they started that. Because I went to high school at Avenue in Eglinton.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, oh, nice. Yeah.
In high school, they're still not done. Yeah. They built the Burj Khalifa in 4 years.
That's crazy.
What are we doing here?
Crazy. I live at Yonge and Eglinton right now, and I really like that intersection. Actually, in my opinion, one of the best intersections to buy if you were to buy it.
I love Yonge and Egg. I've always liked Midtown. I always have.
You're getting that breath of fresh air where you don't feel like you're in downtown, but you have everything out your door. You walk out, you got an Italian grocery store, you got all these amazing places to eat. I love Yonge and Eglinton. I can preach it all day long. But that LRT, you go there right now, there's no construction. It's just,
I used to have a place on Roehampton.
I live on Roehampton.
No, you don't.
Yeah, 30 Roehampton.
Come on. Yeah. Wow, I know the building.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like that area a lot.
Yeah.
I like that area a lot. There's a good comedy club at the end there. I don't know if you ever pop into there once in a while. Yeah. That's a good spot. But overall, I think you're bang on, man. It should never, when I'm in Florida, okay, it was just there. We're just literally there 2-3 days ago. In Florida, I could go from, let's call it 20 miles. How long does that take you to drive, really?
20 miles. Well, Florida also has a lot of traffic too.
No, I'm sorry. If you get out of Miami, if you go up a little bit north, we're going towards Boca, we're going a little bit north. I get there like this.
Yeah.
It takes me an hour and a half to go anywhere here. I do agree with you. Downtown Miami and getting into Miami, of course there's it's a shit show. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yeah.
But overall, the amount of people that are here that we didn't account for, it's insane.
Well, you know what the problem is here? It's not just the amount of people; it's the culture. There's like everyone is living in their own little bubble. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Miami, for example, which I spent a lot of time in, you walk into an elevator, there's no chance you're not having a conversation with the person inside.
I couldn't agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I call Miami a city of golden retrievers.
That's a good way to put it, actually. That's
Everyone's
true.
friendly. There's sun. There's the beach. Everyone says hi to you. Have a good day. Have a good night. Like people care about you there. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe they do. But like in general, you kind of get this feeling where like people are kind of like they want to interact. They want to hear. Everyone has their own little bubble. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's okay. Toronto is also very diverse and multicultural. So like we have like if you go right now into Tim Hortons, for example, and you see and there's 10 tables, one of them is Chinese, the other one is Arab, other one is this, other one is that. Everyone's doing their own thing, So it's a little bit less, I would say, like it's less welcoming for someone.
It kind of reminds me of some of the coldness you get in New York City, if you ever go to New York City.
Yeah.
However, with the political ideologies of California. It's kind of like a Californian New York.
Yeah, it is.
Right? And even the multiculturalism. Like we have tons of everything here. But you're right. I couldn't agree more. When I'm down there, maybe it's the sun. I don't know what it is. People just seem to be happier there. They're happy to talk, happy to chat. A lot of elderly people who like to chat anyways, you run into. But overall, couldn't say more about that. But market-wise, back to the meta point.
Yeah.
What do you? So we've established you've lost faith, and we both like Florida more.
I haven't yet.
But we're on the verge.
Toronto will always be my base.
Agreed.
So no matter where I go,
I'm the same way.
I'll keep my car here. I'll keep my home here. I'll keep my investments here. Fine. I believe in the country. I think Canada long term will be a great place to live. I'm not saying I want to like disqualify that Canada is an amazing country, but I think in the next 5-10 years might be a little bit of a rough time. But in terms of real estate, what I would buy today or what I think about the market is that I would personally wait. I would not buy anything right now.
When do you think, though, it's going to get corrected? And I know nobody knows the answer to this, but what's your opinion on it?
I think a nice 3 years.
Yeah, agreed.
And,
I say 3 to 5. I might push it to 5.
It might even be less. Like you might have a 6-month run where everything's going up like crazy again with the bidding wars, multiple offers, and then go down again. But it's hard to see. It's like Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin right now, for example, it's been kind of like this, like this. It's kind of sticking around the 100K Canadian. Not
no. I see that.
It's not going crazy, but then sometimes you have Bitcoin where it's like up down like crazy. It's like what do you do? So I feel like right now is a time where it's like you have to be more careful. It's more volatile, and you don't want to get yourself into a big I'm pretty anti loans. I don't like.
That's not good for our business. That's not good for our business model. No, it's okay.
I'm anti loans.
Tell it how it is.
In a way where I don't like to have. I like to go to sleep knowing that I don't have too much debt. Mm-hmm. It's like my properties that I purchase. I know it's stupid, but I put down more money than I should be putting down. Like my last property I purchased it for $600K. I put down $200,000, where I only need to put down $120. So that little $80,000, I know that my mortgage is low. Like if rents go to shit or whatever it is, I'm not bleeding money. But yeah, you can always use that money and then buy on.
Yeah, I talked to some pretty affluent investment guys on this podcast.
Yeah.
And they're all agreeing. They're like, mortgage debt is good debt, for lack of a better expression.
Yeah.
You use the house's money, while your money goes and makes other money.
And I believe in that, just not in this market because.
But I was gonna say your strategy isn't terrible either, right? Like when it fluctuates, it's nice to know you have less of a mortgage than your max.
Exactly. And then when you feel confident that times are going to be good again,
take it out.
Then you can take it out.
You refinance
whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Exactly. In the States, for example, like it makes a lot more sense to do this strategy. Here, I feel like it's very complicated getting all these loans. I mean, unless they're dealing with you.
Thank you. Yeah, pump us a little bit for God's sakes.
For me, for example, I had the hardest time getting a mortgage. Banks hate real estate agents.
Yeah, well, of course.
They see us as a one-man show.
Self-employed, which normally realtors are self-employed. You're the enemy of the bank. I don't know why.
Yeah, they don't like us because.
Oh, you're not paying the tax. You're not paying the government. You're writing down your income.
Well, I'm paying. I report a lot of money every year on my professional corporation, but I don't pay myself a crazy salary. So,
But what business owner does?
yeah, exactly.
Like what I don't know. I've seen guys with multi-million-dollar companies. Nobody's actually dollar for dollar what it should be.
Yeah.
It's the way of the world.
They want people that are working 9 to 5,
Salaried. Yeah, exactly.
Doctors, lawyers, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Whatever. That's not what I end up being. So.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here. And I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. On that note, so again, it's pretty much what everybody's saying. It could happen earlier, but we're probably in for a couple of years of a roller coaster at least before stuff balances out. Talk about we haven't talked on here, and I have had two realtors on the podcast already, but we didn't really dive into it because truthfully, I don't know if it was their bread and butter or their main area of expertise. Can we talk a little bit about the assignment sale stuff?
Yes. So
let's go from basic. I like to keep everything layman. Like, what is an assignment sale?
Assignment sale is you, for example, purchase a pre-construction, and the pre-construction is be ready in 6 months, and you say, you know what? I don't want to close on it. I want to flip it. I want to sell this piece of paper that you bought with your name and your unit number and the amount of deposit that you paid, and I want to sell it to somebody else. It's essentially selling a piece of paper to somebody else, saying this is what you're getting and this is what you're buying. This is what I bought and you're taking over. It's almost like doing like a car lease takeover, like on lease.
That's like a lease busters thing. That's a good way to look at it.
It's almost what it is. It's almost what it is, except you're actually buying something. I was doing assignments starting in 2016 when people were making crazy profits on assignments. Like I've sold assignments where my clients made 150K. Like they would buy in 2018 and then 2020 we're signing it and they're making 150K. And they're doubling their deposits.
Yeah, it was bedlam. You were making Those days are long. You can barely see them anymore. Yeah,
those days are gone. Assignments are also very complex. There's a lot of different. There's a whole different criteria paperwork required. Most realtors don't know how to type up assignment sales correctly. Most of my assignment sales that I have done with other realtors, I was representing the client, like the seller, the assignor. So the assignor would be the seller, and the assignee would be the buyer. I was doing the paperwork for both sides because it is very complex. And my first 3 assignments, I remember I was for 4 hours sitting on my desk trying to figure it out, having lawyers helping me. Like when I started doing assignments, it wasn't really a popular thing. So not a lot of people knew how to do it. Now people caught onto it, they understand.
Oh my, I'll tell you, I've had more conversations about assignment sales in the past, even call it year, than I think I ever have.
No, it's crazy.
It's like everybody's talking about it, but correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm seeing most of, maybe because I'm on the mortgage end of things, but it's the appraisal didn't come in, or they don't have enough money for down payment, or both. The appraisal didn't come in high enough, they have to put down more to close the transaction. Exactly. They don't want to lose their initial deposit, and they don't want to get sued by the builder.
Exactly.
So then they come to me, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeing that most of the time, at least on my end, the people who want to do the assignment, take it over, are looking for the best deal on the market.
The craziest deal.
They want them to lose their shirts.
For me, there's a rule of thumb. When I have people that reach out to me asking me to assign their contract, I say in order for us to sell, there has to be a 10% upside for resale value. That means that people that are looking to buy assignments, if, for example, the unit you want $600,000 for it, but there's another unit, for example, that's say resale is 600K, you need to be 10% lower than that for it to sell. For an assignment investor that wants to buy an assignment, for that to sell, they want to get juice in the deal. Which means if you bought for 800K, it's worth 600. You got to sell for 540 for someone to even touch it. So, and if you paid 100K deposit to the builder, now you're going to cough up a shit ton of money.
Right.
So from you buying a pre-construction in 2021, now you're down, most people are down right now, 200K plus.
I'm not going to disclose the name, but I have somebody who works with us. And he was one of my big private guys, lending money privately. Got in the realtor, same thing. The sky's never going to fall, like the people you were talking about earlier. Put it in, you can't go wrong. He's going to lose on 4 or 5 properties. He went big. But he's probably going to lose $1 million, something like that.
I think I know who you're talking about, actually.
Yeah, we're not going to say his name, but that's crazy. I mean, obviously, it's a business. It's business's risk. There's elements of risk to anything that you do and you invest in.
You could have also bought me a lot of money too, so it's more of a greed game. The problem is you have these typical people that save up for years, and then they get convinced by a realtor to go buy this pre-con.
Yeah, that's sad. That's
sad. And the deposit structure is amazing, and you could put down 10% over a year, So people get sucked into it and they don't realize that they're signing away their life. If the market goes down, then
No, it's sick. I've seen people lose everything they have on this stuff, playing this game.
Yeah.
And truthfully, and you knock loans, so I'm going to knock agents a little bit, realtors. I would say a lot of the times it's fueled by a greedy real estate agent.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
It is.
The guy who wants the commission, needs a commission. Okay, go.
I've been to sales offices at pre-construction sites where I overhear what the realtors are telling their clients. And I'm like, how are they even saying this? This is what I knew pre-con was the problem. When I was hearing agents, and these agents were selling a lot of pre-con units, and they just had people walk in, and those people had like 100K in their bank. Like, yeah, buy it. You can sell on assignment, no problem. When it's ready, it'll be worth more money. We'll sell an assignment for you. Don't even worry about it. Just sign, and everything will be fine. Now those people are getting screwed. What are they going to do? They want to go sue the realtor. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
they're screwed. They don't even have money for a lawyer, probably. So
I shouldn't laugh, but it's sick. If you see I've seen them in there, and it's like just like a carbon copy of Wolf of Wall Street. You know what I mean? They're just like, close it, and I'm like, listen, I love closing deals. That's what I do. But like you have to operate under some kind of moral compass, a little bit at least. Like,
exactly.
And I've seen what you're saying. So that's funny that you brought that up. That's why can you just give one, and we'll wrap up the assignment sale section. But can you just give me one example you've had of an assignment sale that's gone well?
That's gone well, sure. I have a lot actually. Well, let's just look at.
I know you have a lot. I just kind of one generic one for everybody to listen.
I purchased one myself last year.
Okay, good.
I purchased a condo downtown Yonge and Dundas at a building that I really was passionate about. I knew it was a unique building, right? So unique means that the units were not typical cookie cutter. You walk in, you're like, what is this box? Mm-hmm. So that unit, the person purchased in 2018, for $650. He put 20 grand in upgrades, so he's at $670 all in. And I bought the place for $600,000, which at that time last year was I had that 10% rule of thumb I was telling you about, where it was worth about $700 when I bought it. Now it's probably worth like $640 because the market's bad. But that was for me like the best assignment sale I've ever seen. I hopped in it right away. I had 2 weeks to close. So when I bought it, from the second I signed, I had to close within 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I was like going crazy for trying to find lending. And as a realtor, it was hard. I've had assignment sales in 2020, 2021, where most of my assignment sales that I've done when the market was good, I always double-ended. It means I represented the assignor and the assignee, the buyer and the seller.
Right.
But I've had most of my clients, like when we were selling assignments back then, were making at least $100K. But the problem is now, even if you were to make money, now CRA introduced new rules on assignments. So essentially what happens with your income, and I'm not an accountant, so don't take my word.
No, I would just finish the thought.
I tell my clients, and I always tell my clients, speak to an accountant, but you get to pay income tax on your profit, if you even have any profit. And then all the money that you get back is subject to HST. So the CRA considers you to be a vendor.
Right.
So if you pay the builder $100K, now you're getting back the $100K because you're selling your contract. So you're getting back the deposit. Now you're going to pay 13% on the $100K.
Yeah, I know. I've actually run into this before. You're right. Yeah. No, that's bang on.
And then I think there's also HST on the profit component. So if you're making $100K, you're actually making nothing. And you have realtor fees, you have this fee, you have that fee. By the end of it, assignments is like, it's only good for the buyers. Whoever is buying assignments right now.
Yeah, they're taking advantage of somebody's situation. It's really what it is. I mean, right now, at least. Today's market. Of course. Okay, we'll just do a couple here. Best real estate deal you've done and worst real estate deal you've done.
Best in terms of commission?
Yeah. I think it was more on like best of help, but I want to know. Give me the best commission you got.
I sold a.
You don't have to disclose numbers, but tell me. Go.
I can tell the number. I sold a $30 million plaza at Yonge and Steeles for a high-rise condo. I represented the buyer and the seller with my partner Steve. I got a partner Steve. I got to bring Steve on.
Steve's coming next. I want Steve. Both. I want to hear the worst stories from both of you.
And that was a great deal from the commission perspective. It was very rough. It took 6 months, and almost every day felt like the deal was going to break apart. So that deal, God somehow made that deal happen, because I don't know how that deal even went through. My worst deal was when I was lied to by an agent.
Whoa!
Yeah, that I almost took to RICO. I ended up not doing it because my clients chose not to. But I remember this was in year 2019. Okay, and it was in an area around Bathurst and St. Clair that was high demand, and there was multiple offers. So most homes now in good areas, they list low to sell high. So they do offer presentation day,
Right.
which means it's like a bid day essentially for people that don't.
Yeah, they're looking for the bits. Yep.
Yeah, so they start at $1 million, but it's really worth 1.2. So they take offers after 7 days, and so we're on offer night. There's only one other offer, and the agent says, "Oh, there's another offer. It's higher than your offer," and we came in really aggressively. We came in exactly what I thought the house was worth, and so okay, so we went up a little bit, and she calls me back. She's like, "Oh, the other offer is better." And then so I'm like, okay, so we went up a little bit more. She's like, oh, the other offer is better. And I told my clients, I just tap out, like, go. He's like, no, okay, give an extra 10K. Give an extra 10K. But from the time we actually submit our first offer, which was the best one from the other offer, I'll tell you in a second how I knew that, it was already like the best. So they essentially paid like 70K more than what they should have paid. The next day, I get a call from the agent that put in the first offer. I know him because he saw an MLS that I was the
Really?
agent that got the house. He's like, Tal, why do you guys pay so high? I was like, what do you mean? There was a better offer. He's like, I was all the.
Oh shit!
And I was, and I was like, we lowball. We didn't even like. She pretty much said like she used you.
Holy shit!
In that situation, now you have to like. So I spoke to my broker of record. I'm like, hey, here's what happened. So he's like, first I have to like disclose this to my clients, obviously, right? So I told my clients, I'm like, hey, look, we got screwed. Like there's X, and X way you can do. I found out also that the girl that listed it, I wish I could say her name.
No.
I'm not going to. She was engaged to the seller of that property and didn't even put a disclosure.
Wow, huge conflict of interest. Yeah,
which is like a serious thing. Actually, her broker of record is today my broker of record, which is funny because
this is what people don't understand, or I think like people that aren't in real estate and mortgages is like it's such a small world.
Yeah,
it's incredibly small.
I went to complain in person. I went to her office and I said, hey, look, like this is what happened with one of your agents. And he tried to fix things, and we ended up getting a little bit of money back. And then I wanted to take her to RICO. Like, I want her to lose her license. But you know what? I'm a man that likes to just move on for things.
Me too.
Sometimes. I'm not trying to,
you don't want to go in the weeds with it. I understand that.
I just didn't want this to happen to anybody else. Like, what I went through for me, that's the worst thing that can happen because I let my clients down in a way. Mm-hmm. I was lied to. Like, you have to pick up on these types of situations, right? And as much as like I advise them, don't even keep going up in price. At the end of the day, it's their choice, right? They want to take the pen and sign. That's up to them. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to push anything. There's been a lot worse deals. Actually, I tell this to people as a joke. It's actually not a joke, but all of my deals are very complex. I don't have any easy deals.
I think that's everybody though, man.
No.
No?
Not with me.
Not your level of complex, though?
I have like clients that like write me like 10-page essays about one house. And like, oh, but the wind from the garbage disposal that's like 40 kilometers away is flying that direction and going like crazy shit. Like,
they're getting into analytics like you never seen.
Dude, like if I tell you like half the stories I have, you're gonna be like, how are you still doing that? Like it's that bad.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, listen, but there's always good deals. There's always bad deals. I would say that most of my deals to date, there's been some really easy ones. Most of them have been very complex and complicated. But those are the kind of clients that I attract. And they work with me because I'm able to work with complicated. Mm-hmm. This is my specialty, I would say, is dealing with crazy people. If you look at all my ex-girlfriends, they're all crazy now.
Yeah. Don't kill me.
Just a few of them.
Just one or two, right? Just a handful. No, I think that's. Listen, that is definitely from what I've seen from you. You're a master at taking that complexity and bringing it down to a close, which is really a skill. But I will add in, at least from my perspective. And I was telling you this outside, as things are getting harder and the market's getting more difficult and people are running on credit and living on credit and seems to be like a vast majority of people are on a shoestring budget, the deals themselves get harder.
Yeah, they get complex.
They get more complex. We're at, values are dropping, mortgages are remaining relatively the same, people's income is relatively the same. You put that all in a blender, you're getting hard deals. Like, not always. We get good purchases, but I'm saying those easy refinances that we used to do tons of are far and few in between now.
I know.
And that's just what's happening.
So the penalties now are also going crazy. I'm sure you could tell me.
Wild.
Like penalties to break mortgages apparently are going up now.
Yeah, and we were just talking about this on for yourself. Yeah. Like, I mean, you were looking at potentially playing with some ideas, and I'm like, call in, because there's no even online calculator that's going to give you the exact number.
It's not safe to use.
I had one. We were on Rate Hub. I can say the name. Everybody uses them. I was on Rate Hub. I was punching it in for Haven Tree Bank Mortgage. The break penalty ended up being 3 times what it was.
Wow.
It's like, doesn't seem like anybody knows. Even Haventree, I'm like, why is it so high?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, this is what it is. I'm like, isn't it just a standard IRD calculated on the remainder of the term?
Yeah,
and they're like, I never got a straight answer out of it, but that's what's happening. So Canada we've handled. I want to talk about a little sunny, what they call the Sunshine State.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Florida.
Florida. Yeah, I love Florida. My first time ever in Miami was right in COVID time when everything was under lockdown. And the only place in the world that was pretty much open.
That was your first time in Florida?
Yeah, first time in Florida ever. I was young. I was like, 23 maybe? Mm-hmm. And I went there when everything was under lockdown, and Miami was the only place that was open. I said, fuck it, let's go to Miami.
I love it.
I went with all my buddies, and we had the best 10 days. It was like a movie. Your first time ever in Miami will always be a movie, especially if you do it right. Mm-hmm. Like, we were going out, popping bottles. I thought I met my wife. I met a girl, and then I flew her to New York with me afterwards. Like, it was crazy. Like, I was in the high.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was in the high where everybody was at home depressed. I was like...
You're just living your best life. Yeah.
My life. And I had a girl with me on the flight. My first ever time in Miami that I was telling you about now. It was Labor Day, and the airport was fucking packed. Mm-hmm. I've never seen anything like it before. And the security line was long, and then you have to go through customs in Canada, and in a line. Imagine like 6 massive lines, and just for all roped up, and it's like at least hundreds of people. And we had an hour to get to Miami, like to board our flight. We had like an hour. I said, "Fuck this!" So I started cutting all the lines. And when I was checking into my flight, I saw this really hot blonde girl that was at that counter. I'm like, "You look like you're going to Miami." She's like, "How'd you know?" I'm like, "I can tell." And so I saw her in the line. I was like, we're gonna miss our flight. She's like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "Okay, come with me." So we started going below the ropes. I almost got kicked out of the airport 3 times. And then when we landed in Miami, I had a rental car there, and I was like, "Come, I'll drive you home." So she's like with us. I wish I could pull up that picture. It's the funniest thing ever. So she came with us. I drove her home, and she's like, "Yeah, I hate where I live right now. Like this building's falling apart." And a week before that, I was sitting down with a developer from New York that he was telling me he was looking for rundown buildings in Miami on the water that you can turn into luxury condos.
And you're like, perfect. Look at this,
and I
right?
was like, wait, how many units are in this building? And I know what to ask and how to understand very quickly. She's like, it's like 40 something units. I'm like, okay, show me a picture, show me that. Just within a second, I'm like, I think I know what I could do. So I got the board together. We held a meeting, and we had a couple people that said no. I think the ratio of people that like if you have 100 people, and I think the percentage was, I want to say 10% say no, then you can't do that deal. I forgot what the percentage was, but we had a few people that said no that I had to convince it to say yes, and a developer ended up coming in and buying that land.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was very hard, and so I got paid a little consulting fee. I wasn't even a broker on that. I just got a check. But that was my first ever time in Miami. Was the best time of my life. I
fell in love for a week. We've done that before. Yeah.
I sold a deal, and ever since then, I'm like, this is where I want to be. There's something about that place that's a little more magical. There are some cons to Miami,
but that's anywhere, Tal. Anywhere you're gonna live, there's gonna be pros. There's gonna be cons.
So there's more cons in Canada than there is.
We already beat up Canada, but weather is huge for me. The people. I like I don't want to say too much, but I kind of like the politics a little bit there, at least for running a business.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that they understand business better than here.
Money in Florida is like nowhere else.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. The flow of money there is crazy. You know what I like about Florida as well too is that there's actually unique real estate. You don't see these shitbox condos with like 400 square feet. It doesn't exist. Miami built condos for people to actually live in them, and then high quality people, like families. So you see a lot of 1,000 square foot units. Obviously, Brickell is a little bit like different, where you're seeing a lot of these new product now coming with like micro units that we're seeing here in Toronto. But for the most part, the product, like you walk in and it's actually nice. Like you have tile flooring, like it's not like shit quality built. Some are,
but like I understand what you're saying. The vast majority, especially the new stuff.
It's more unique. You walk.
They have some crazy penthouses down there too. Like if you want to talk about luxury real estate.
Yeah, well, the problem now with Miami condos, it's actually dangerous to buy older condos in Miami because of special assessments. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is they might come to you and say, "Hey, I need $30K from every single unit owner, because we got to redo the whole windows." Ever since the Surfside condo collapse,
they're on it. Yeah. I heard about that.
That changed everything now. So everyone's coming into their inspections and stuff, and it's becoming like a nightmare. So, but if you want to buy a new condo in Miami or a new product, there's a huge premium on brand new in Florida. So when you're buying new compared to something that's 10 years even or 15 years, there's a way big difference in price. Mm-hmm. Like here, it's not as visible, but over there, it's like if you have brand new, it's like it's completely like different.
No, for sure. No, I see that too. But like we're starting. It's not official. We're testing the waters in doing financing down there in Florida, and a lot of people are obviously who are we marketing to? Really, eventually we're going to get into marketing to Floridians, but right now it's kind of the snowbirds, the people that want to live here and buy down there. Are you like? I know again, you have a kind of a better grasp than most people.
Yeah.
What do you think the entry point is when you
price-wise?
Yeah, for a condo.
For condo, you can find anything between $500K to up to $1 million. It depends on what type of product you want. You want water views. You want to be in an old building that's a little bit not as safe in terms of having to cop up money out of nowhere because you got to do updates to the whole building because of hurricanes, this and that. So it really depends on what you want. The good thing about Miami is I love Brickell, and I think Brickell has like tremendous potential. There are good pre-con buildings there that are selling for reasonable price per square foot. The problem with pre-con in Miami is that the builders there want 50% deposit.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Ever since the 08 crash, and that's how it should have been here. Here should have been the same thing. Builders in Miami want 40% minimum. From the time you sign to the time the building is ready, the builders already have 40% of your deposits in their bank account. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much...
Can you imagine if they did that here?
If they did that here, you wouldn't have all these people failing to close.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have these distress assignment sales. People already have their money in, they close on it, and that's it. So it's a lot safer to purchase for the builders in Florida than it is here. So that's one thing. I mean, in terms of...
do you think it's a good investment?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I'm a little bit worried about insurances and natural disasters.
Yeah, I heard the insurance. Now again, we're just entering that foray, that market, but I heard insurance on homes down there.
It's crazy.
It's wild. That's what I was told.
I think Florida is more of a place where you go open a business.
Yeah.
I think
yes, agreed.
You go there, you open a business. People listen. I'm in real estate, and I'm probably like the only realtor that's ever going to say this. But I'm not a huge fan of let's just take all my money and buy real estate. I think real estate is one of those things where first you start by buying yourself a house. Then if you have a little bit of money that's left over and if you can afford it, buy an investment property. But don't just let me just go buy real estate. Use that money, maybe start a business, maybe buy a business, maybe do something that can actually yield you something that's like...
No, I agree. I always say you should... My main line, I've said this on this podcast 50 times, you should always own where you live. I personally believe that. Yeah. Even that, though, I was talking to a kid, to actually one of my agents' nephews is 25. He made $15 million on Bitcoin. Really? 25, you can believe that. Wow. And I wouldn't believe it unless it was coming from somebody who I trust. He was just saying to his uncle, he said, listen, I will never own a property. Yeah. My money can make money, I'll rent, right. Whatever. So there's not really a wrong way of doing it, but I actually agree with you. Yeah. Even though I'm in mortgages, you're in real estate, don't go buck wild and think that you're, buy one if you have extra cash and can qualify, and that mortgage services, buy another one. But
what I do like about Florida market, though, is that the rents are really good. So if you have a loan of $3,000 a month, typically your rents cover that expense.
Exactly.
Here in Toronto,
not even close.
If you buy a place today and you close on it and you want to rent it out,
not even close.
Minimum $1,000 a month on anything you buy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Anything you buy, unless you do what I do. But that's a whole other story.
That's a whole other Tall. You're gonna have Tall's number in the bio. He'll straighten you out. But yeah, no, you're not wrong. I do like the Florida market. I'm not a big, like you said, I'm not huge on investing in multiple properties, but I don't think it would be a bad buy. If you have something there.
Crazy Airbnb restrictions.
That was the other thing. What's it restricted for in the city of Toronto? I can't even remember.
You can't do shit here.
They restrict you down to like 3/4 of the year, if that.
Now, if you have a property that you Airbnb full time, again, speaking to an accountant, but the CRA sees you to be a vendor, so when you sell the property, you're going to hit with an assessment of a 13% HST on the sale.
They get you No, I never did.
It's a new thing.
I have not heard about that. Is that in place?
Yes. Yeah, so if you have an Airbnb condo, let's just say, and you want to sell it today, then you get screwed with a 13% tax on the sale of the property.
There isn't a way you can move here. You can't sneeze without paying tax here.
Rain tax.
That was the craziest one.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, no. Okay, so I think we're pretty much in line with that in terms of the Florida market. It's exciting. We're eventually going to get down business-wise down there. And then I guess I'll learn more about it, but I'm just kind of getting into the foray of How are we doing loans down there? What's the process? What's the market like? And there's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences too.
For sure.
Even that 30-year fixed rate. Imagine I locked in at a 30-year fixed rate at 2%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, come on.
All the biggest real estate investors I know that own commercial stuff like that, their biggest issue is not locking it in for that long. Mm-hmm. Like now they're bleeding because they're paying 6, 7.
We have one right now. It's like the guy's going from nothing to, what do we get that approved at? 8%?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? That's like 3 times what you're on a massive commercial property.
Yeah.
Not cool. But yeah, no, I agree with you there. Okay. Rapid fire, Tal. Rapid fire. Pre-construction or resale? I think we know the answer to this. Go. Resale all day. After what's happened with the pre-con stuff, I'm out. I don't even.
Are eating as much.
If the market got hot, would you advocate for pre-con again?
Not with the price differences, because if you're paying a premium of 30%,
it's not worth
very
it.
risky.
Yeah.
The only time I preach pre-con is if it's an end user that wants a very specific product because they could design it. But that's how pre-con should have been always. Not these massive condos where you're just buying a floor plan. It should be you're buying a nice product where you can take it, you can design it yourself, and it's for end users. And that's how condo sales in Toronto were always. Up until 2016 is when we had this crazy condo boom that people are just like buying whenever they see it. It's like, like this allocation? Okay, yeah, let's get it. Let's sign for it. So I do like pre-con still. I don't think it's horrible. I just think that it's like builders are just overpriced, not by their choice, but because of bad policies politically, where we just have to pay so much money in taxes to build. So they have to price so high, and we have high construction costs. So the cost for them to build is just way too high.
It's astronomical. It
doesn't even make sense for them to buy land right now. Like builders aren't even buying land.
They're not building.
Yeah.
We're just talking to one of the biggest commercial lenders the other day. He's a friend, older Jewish guy. We were talking in detail, and he's like, Andrew, what don't you understand? They're not building. They're not building right now. I'm like, wow.
It's crazy.
It's hard to see it go from the way it was to dead stop. Okay, we're not very rapid on the rapid fire. Sorry.
I'll be more rapid.
No, it's my fault. I keep talking. You're an easy guy to talk to. Condo or multi-unit?
In this market, I would probably build myself a little multiplex if I had to choose between like a triplex or a condo. It depends. There are still some nice condos that you can buy if you can find a good deal on an assignment sale and get something that's like below market value. Then that I personally. The problem with multiplexes is that what you ask, condo or multiplex?
Yeah, obviously there could be a massive variation in cost, but condo or multi-unit, if you had, let's all things equal.
The problem with multi-units is most of them you'll find were probably built before 2018, so they're subject to rent control. So you're hovering at a 5 cap or like a 4 cap.
Right.
If you're lucky, it's a 5 cap. You're usually hovering about like a 3.5 cap with a rent upside. And it's just like you're holding this piece of property that you put down 20% on right now. And it's like, for what? How much money are you really making with it? I'd rather put my money in that point in bonds, in blue chip bonds. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing.
No, for sure.
Almost. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Personally, I would build a multiplex. I wouldn't buy one.
Good answer. So you're condo then?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the easiest one I've ever asked. Okay. Canada or Florida?
I won't even answer that.
Okay. Short-term cash flow or long-term equity growth?
I think it depends on the person. Like for me personally, I would say long-term equity growth is nice.
I'm in the same bucket, but you're right. It's totally up to their individual.
Some people like short-term cash flow. They don't want to hold on for too long. So.
Okay, I'll agree with that. Okay, here's the one we're talking about all the time now. Buy now or wait for the market to cool? I think we're pretty cold right now.
I listen. People that do well in real estate typically buy when other people are not buying, and that's same with stocks or crypto. Or
anything investing, pretty much.
It all depends on what your timeline. Like if you buy today and you say, you know what, I'm going to hold it for 5 years. It doesn't matter if you buy now or in a year from now, right? If you look at it over a 5-year run, it's not going to make that much of a difference. I think now if there's good opportunities, I just don't know where things are going to be, and because like you have to take your own personal judgment and say, okay, well. Do I think things are going to get worse, or do I think things are going to be stable? Do I think things are going to get better? It's just a hit or miss. In my opinion, there's too many unknowns to buy now, especially if you're putting every dollar you have into a property.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
If you have a lot of money and you're like, whatever, let's just buy property now because it's a good time to buy. Sure, but if you're just like that guy that works 9 to 5 that saved up for the last 6 years a 20% down payment, then it's like.
No, and that's what I've told a lot of people. I've had a lot of people in the past year at least say, I want to see what happens. Wait till it goes down, this, that. And it has gone down a bit.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, the guy's paying rent to somebody else.
Sure.
He's not owning any property. He's not doing anything with the money.
Yeah.
It's not like he's invested it incredibly and he's got a huge return. It's sitting there waiting for the market to drop. I put it in, get in now.
Yeah.
You know, but people don't see this.
Yeah, some people are very cautious. Oh, the bubble's gonna pop soon.
The bubble, go look at previous they must have been saying the bubble's going to pop since
10 years.
Maybe 20.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I agree with that. Okay, here we go. One real estate myth that drives you nuts. There's probably more than one, but
real estate myth. Give me one example of a myth that you would think about.
Real estate is the best investment.
I think that's like the main one.
Right? Isn't that like everybody says you can't get wrong? Yeah.
Go wrong. You buy and hold and make money over time.
Yeah. They're not making any more land. You heard that one? That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's like what my grandparents used to tell me. They're not making any more land.
I don't say that kind of shit, so I can't think of anything because I hear it and I get cringe. I'm like, I don't even want to be a realtor anymore after like it's so weird because when I introduce myself and someone asks me what do you do for a living, I don't like saying I'm a realtor because they think, oh, that guy probably does like.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about. I'm like, what do I call you?
Yeah,
you're like I'm a real estate guy. I'm like, what?
I'm just a hustler in real estate.
Yeah,
that's what I am, and in several niches, pretty much.
Okay, so we'll pass on that one. Most overrated city to invest in right now. I guess we're talking about Southern Ontario. We're not talking about Dubai.
We're talking about outside right now. I think this is my favorite lawyer just had a podcast with a mortgage guy, and he was talking about Hamilton, and I couldn't agree more. Hamilton's going to get screwed, I think, with the car industry. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of jobs over there. There's a lot of industrial there. There's something about Hamilton that I never liked personally.
You don't like the hammer?
No, I think it's the
Thai cats.
I think there's potential down the line, but it's too long term to see returns. I don't like Brampton. I don't like any of the submarkets.
For my personal investment, I do agree with you.
Yeah.
When we were seeing at the peak homes in Hamilton at like 1.3, 1.2, I'm like,
crazy.
Dude, it's like, I mean, no offense to anybody from Hamilton, but I'm like, it's Hamilton. I'm like, how could it go up that much?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the market there went crazy a few times, but I don't know. I feel like any areas that might get affected by potential tariffs, which will go in place, especially in the auto industry, might see the craziest. I think Calgary also is one of those cities that were just pumped up by foreign investors, aka Toronto investors.
In Calgary.
Yeah, like all the pre.
Yeah, we went to a seminar for for one of the the CMHC, the multi-unit thing they do, the MLI Select, right?
5% down, you buy a multiplex.
And the guy was selling. It reminded me of that of the agents you would hear with the pre-con before. He used the word in the presentation, and I turned over to TJ, my partner. I looked at him, I'm like, is this guy serious? Yeah. He's like, we're turning millionaires into billionaires.
He said that?
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, come on, listen, you can make good money in real estate. You're not becoming a billionaire off of the CMHC program. Like, let's be honest here. Yeah. So I'm like, what? I was dying. It was hilarious. Yeah, no. So but I was gonna say they're pumping Calgary. Yeah. That's where that program's big. Is in Calgary. The only thing I like there is the rent laws.
It's better.
You can get people out in 30 days if they're not paying.
Here it's ridiculous. You can't get anyone out for 10 months. You have people that
Here it's basically a glorified homeless shelter if they don't want to pay.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And people I have a lot of our clients are just stigmatized by the market, and by the time they actually accept an application, it's like they go through 5 people until they say, okay, you know what, I'm a little bit less worried about this one.
I'm telling you, I have one of my places, and these guys have been to it, where I'll have a nice cigar, I'll have a drink, I'll have my buddies over, we'll play some cards, and I keep no tenants in there. Really? I swear to God. I mean, it's been a couple of months. I'm probably going to put somebody back into it, but I'm just so nervous about putting somebody in, they don't pay, and then I'm chasing. Whoever said it's a passive income is a liar.
Yeah.
It's not at all. It's fully active.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're almost done. If I was starting over, I'd first blank.
I would, if I was starting over, I think I'd first, I would have moved out of this country. No, I did well, actually. I can't.
You did? I'm like, what are you complaining about? Yeah, you did good.
I talk that much shit like Canada. But I think I would have potentially looked at something that I can build something that's more long term. Because when you're working a commission job, everything is very short term oriented. And so for me, it's like okay, I wake up in the morning, it's like what's on the menu today? What am I doing today? Who am I calling? How do I close business? So with that, I was always, especially when I was younger, I had very short term goals where it's like I just want to make money now. And then I started to realize that okay, it takes a little bit longer to make money in these types of businesses. So you have to kind of look at it from a long term perspective. So you don't rush for the money now, but you rush for the money now in like over a pipeline of time. So I would say just like look towards like building something for the future and not building something for today.
That's good advice.
And then also focus on your health and your mental sanity. Like when I was working real estate in the beginning, like I was working till 2:00 in the morning every day, like eating garbage food all day, smoking, this, that, like not giving a shit.
Are you describing my life?
Well, I mean, look, it's like you could do whatever you want and it's fine, but then you also have to make time for yourself as well to go enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy life, then what's the point of working, right?
Could agree more.
I'd rather be broke and enjoy life versus being rich and like having to suffer all day and getting like I'm 29, and my hair's turning gray. You can't probably see it on the camera.
You got nicer hair than me. I'm around the same age, but I'm not gonna lie. I agree with that, and I mean I've seen stories or even had clients where they've worked like dogs, and then they get an illness, something happens, and it's like, what's it all for?
Short, man. Life is too
I agree.
Short. So enjoy, spend time with family, take care of your loved ones, and that's all you can do.
Good answer.
The money will come, and also thank God every day.
I love that. I love that. I don't like to get into religion, sports, or politics, but that's one thing I agree with, for sure. Okay, this question, I don't know where this might have been written 5 years ago or 2 years ago. The market might slow down if I think we're already slowed down. People think real estate is about properties. It's actually about.
People think real estate is about properties. It's actually about. I'm not good at this fill in the blank.
I know I don't like these too much either. I cut out a whole bunch of them that we wrote down.
Did you? No, I feel like I'm dyslexic with fill in the blanks. Like I for sure know the answer. I'm just like, wait, hold on. Let me like circle back with that.
Okay, we're gonna pass that too. Okay, we got two last questions for you. I really enjoyed this. I gotta say, you're a stand-up guy. We're friends outside of the podcast, and it's always. And the one thing about you, I'll be honest, is you're like extremely knowledgeable. I knew this already, but you got a good grasp on the real estate, on investing, and I think you provide a good angle that isn't seen in your typical real estate agent, if that makes sense. Yeah. Most guys are pitching the same crap, and
same shit, the different toilet.
Right? You know what I mean? So it's like it was good to have. It's kind of breath of fresh air to have your view on things. So I appreciate that. Two things. We're not done. I'm going to do the handshake after. If you could leave our audience with one golden rule of real estate investing, what would it be?
Always buy a unique property. Don't buy cookie cutter. Always pay a little bit extra to have something better. That will always be the nicer product compared to everything else around you.
Yeah, which is what you touched on. I agree with that.
I'm a huge believer in this. Like, I would pay $100K more to buy something with an unobstructed view, or like just having water, for example. Just I'm one of those guys that I believe premium will always hold better. It obviously depends. There's some premium that's like useless, where it's like
then there's tiers on that, like ultra luxury real estate.
There's stuff that you would know if you work with an experienced broker like myself. I would tell you, okay, it's worth it to spend an extra $60K on this, or it's worth it to do this, or it's worth it to go into this pocket because the school zone's better. So sometimes it's better just to look at the small stuff and say, okay, I can spend a little bit more on premium that I don't really need to spend on, but it will help me long term. And when the market goes crazy, that premium then
you're laughing. Yeah. Then you're laughing.
You're good.
Yeah, that's good. And, okay, I mean, let's just do it this way, because obviously I think you wowed everybody who's watching. Where could people reach you if they want to connect, invest, take you on as a real estate agent?
So, social media, obviously, as you know, I'm not
yeah, that's why I'm asking. Like, where do we find you? Carrier pigeon?
You can email me. I have the one most typical thing about me that typical real estate agent thing about me is my email address. But I've had it.
What is it? Let's hear it.
soldbytal@gmail.com.
Oh, God.
It's as typical as it gets.
That is as stereotypical as you got.
Or, call me. I'm always on my phone.
We're going to put your information in the bio, but...
any people that want to give me gray hairs and be complex, I'm the guy.
That's your thing, eh?
That's my thing.
Yeah, no, and you do well at it. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been As always, it's like I forget time goes by. It's been a while already. I'm like, bro, like we just chat, we chill. But I appreciate it, honestly. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it too, man.
Thanks. That's it. That concludes today's episode of Equity Talks. I hope you got value out of today's conversation. If you're looking for advice on investing, on real estate, we're going to put Tal's contact information below, as well as wherever you're watching this from, whatever platform, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and all of the above. That's it for me. AJP Mortgage.